All right, pro wrestling fanatics, welcome to a very special episode of the 10 Count. Pause. Are you ready to fire it up to 88 miles per hour? Flip that switch on that flux capacitor because it's time to go back to the future, brother. We have got a special game, special feature that we're going to play today. It's going to be a little buy or sell rockin' wrestling era. Pause. I know one of your favorite eras.
Absolutely. Very excited that this is the topic. I know you were super pumped about it. This is arguably the greatest era ever in the history of wrestling. Obviously, it's the Hogan era, so to speak. It's up there. It's got to be up there.
I'm going to put it number one, and mainly because of the nostalgia. This is the time that folks like you and I fell in love with professional wrestling. So a lot of what we're going to run down today, I think is going to bring up a lot of good conversation, maybe some debate amongst us, but more importantly, especially for the listeners out there, it is going to be a tremendous walk down memory lane. So real quick, to break it down for you, buy, sell. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw two topics from the rocking wrestling era, 80s wrestling, WWF mainly. All WWF actually. So rocking wrestling. We're going to throw those topics out there, and Boz and I are going to let you know which ones we're buying on, which ones we're selling on. And Paz, I think this is one where we might be on the opposite sides of the coin here. Let's get it going here right out of the gate with a big time debate. Buy or sell, Paz, during the Rock and Wrestling era, the WWF World Championship or the WWF Intercontinental Championship?
I am all in on buying the World Championship. I know the Intercontinental Championship is great during this period because you had so many great workers, so many great matches, kind of like the stepping stone, if you will, for a lot of the guys. And man, what a legendary run if you look at the IC champ holders during this period. It's amazing. But I go World Champ because the world was very focused on the Hulkster and Hulkster being the champ, and him having that huge almost 5-year run with the world title. That was the central figure and the central selling point of WWF. So I got to go world title, and I got to buy that world title big time. I think that's going to be kind of the big selling point of really the Rock Wrestling era. Hogan is champion.
There is no doubt modern wrestling would be where it's at without the Hulkster, that magnificent run with the World Championship. But I am going to sell on Hulk Hogan and the WWF World Championship. I am buying the Intercontinental Championship. As you said, some great names to hold that title. What I like about that is in that mid-card. Hey, also, the Intercontinental, responsible a lot of times for those B house shows, selling out major crowds. But you look at the diversity that we had through the 80s, if it be, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man to Steamboat, to the honky tonk man. We always think about the Intercontinental Championship as that work rate. Hey, Honky was a worker, baby. Not in the technical sense, but he was going to go out there and give you a show. He knew how to get the crowd revved up. The longest reigning Intercontinental at that point, during that time, during that run, since it's been broken. But then you had the guy that really set the difference here for me, that carried that Intercontinental Championship. The Ultimate Warrior, so us little warriors rallied around the Intercontinental Championship over the Heavyweight Championship. You sprinkle in Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, the variety, the different styles, and the energy you got from the mid-card for me is absolutely why you buy in on the Intercontinental Championship.
All right. That's all right. I'm going Hulkster all the way, but all right. That's fair. Yeah.
All right. Well, we come out of the gate swinging here. Hey, what was also big during rock and wrestling is the celebrity involvement there, Paz. We could go through and compare a lot of names here, but I picked these two. I think they're very unique. They're unique. They're similar in styles of what they represented, and they both brought a different bit of flavor to the WWE. I want to ask you here, buy or sell, Paz, Bob Uecker or Regis Philbin?
I love both of these guys, and I love that Regis was a huge mark, legitimate. Apparently on his show, when he would have the guys in the show, Regis and Kathy Lee, he would go crazy. He was all about it. He was one of the guys to book them more often, so he was all about it. But I got to go Uecker. Come on, you should have there with Andre. I got to go Bob Uecker. He was the best. I just love that he was a part of, obviously WrestleMania and stuff, but I just love that he's part of wrestling and being an announcer, because you think of him, Mr. Belvedere, he's awesome. He's just an awesome comedian. He's an awesome commentator in Major League. I got to go Euchre. I got to buy him. I love Bob Euchre.
All right, I'm going to go the opposite way on this one, and it is so hard not to buy in on the iconic moment of Andre's hands wrapped around Euchre's neck there. And, he also, Mr. Euchre, also responsible for so many other great moments, so many great backstage interviews, and absolutely loved the WWE. But, hey, I am buying on one Mr. Regis Philbin. As just said, I think what gives him the edge here is just not the involvement inside of the wrestling events, is that Regis opened up the doors for that crossover PR that let them shine on such a larger stage. He had such a large audience at that time, and to bring those personalities to the morning talk show, what a huge benefit for the WWF and professional wrestling at the time. And I still, one of my favorites, though, I know I've got the classic here, the early on when we talk about that crossover, getting that celebrity appeal in professional wrestling. What a no better sight right there is Regis, Mr. T, and Hulk Hogan. But one of my favorites was when Ravishing Rick Rude had the appearance on there with Kathy. It might have been a little cleanup. Needed a cleanup there on the stage afterwards there.
Yes.
Absolutely. I loved them. Let's talk about two gentlemen that fans, especially of the time, loved to hate. This is going to be a tough one here, Poz. When it comes to commentary, heel commentary, especially partnering with the great Gorilla Monsoon, who do you got here? Buy or sell, Poz? The body, Jesse Ventura, or the brain, Bobby Heenan?
This is a almost impossible one. It's almost a toss-up if you think about it.
It's almost sacrilege that you have to choose one over the other.
But you're making me do it, so I got to do it. But the body was awesome. He was so damn good. Such a great heel. I loved him with McMahon. He was great with Gorilla, but I love him with McMahon too, especially now going back and listening, because what could Vince do or say? He's bad-mouthing him the whole time. What could he do or say? He's calling him a doofus and everything else, and calling him wrong about everything. So great that you could do that to your boss and get away with it. But I got to go Bobby the Brain. I do think he's the best commentator, the best heel commentator, probably maybe the greatest manager of all time, but I got to go the Brain here. He was so good, especially him and Gorilla. I still will go back just to listen, just the funny aspect of it, of will you be serious? And then him going back and forth, and the flying burrito, and just the stuff they would say to each other back and forth. So I got to slightly go Bobby the Brain, but if you ask me tomorrow, it might change. But right now I'm going to go Bobby the Brain.
Brain and Gorilla, absolutely magnificent for so many their favorite pairing for the commentary in any wrestling promotion. For me, I am going to buy the other way here. My favorite pair ever, Body and Vince. I'm not trying to sell Heenan short in any way. Absolutely magnificent in everything he brought to professional wrestling. But for me, I am buying all day on the Body, baby. At the time, I do remember, when you look at Jesse, he looked the role. Even though, Heenan had a tremendous in-ring career, I didn't really realize that at the time. I'd seen him as the manager type into that transition. He was the weasel. So to me, there was always a little bit more in the delivery and what was being said by the Body, because I knew that he could get in there and back that up, if he wanted to. I always believe he could go in there and actually hurt somebody to get the job done and all that, the flash, the flair. So articulate in everything that he did, and knew what he was talking about. And to this day, had people confused. Is he bashing the creative? Nah, he's just a heel, being a heel commentator, getting things over. I'm buying the Body all day, baby.
Love it.
Poz, well, from the booth to the corner. No, a little different corner. Hype. Those people that there's not even people, but that supporting cast that you bring with you. It was big in the rock and wrestling era, and that was your fur buddies, right? We'll say that the animals, truly letting the animals loose.
Yeah,
buy or sell here. There was corner pets, Matilda the Bulldog or Frankie the Bird.
I love that story of Bret Hart back in the day was he walked into the locker room and there was snakes and dragons and dogs and birds and there's all these pets and animals and stuff. I love Matilda, love the British Bulldogs, but come on, you can't go against the Birdman here. You got to go with Frankie. You got to go with Coco Beware. I love the Birdman is here for a party, and obviously Frankie, and the whole thing, the whole look, the color. they were matching everything. I got to go Frankie, even though I love Matilda and I love the Bulldogs. I got to go Coco and Frankie on this one.
Absolutely. We're going to agree on this one. I'm going to buy on Frankie, selling on the puppy,
Wow,
the adorable puppy.
I
Puppy
thought you were a
love.
dog lover.
Hey, puppy love. Everybody loved Matilda. Had played a great role when it's funny that you mentioned Brett, when the Hearts, remember, kidnapped Matilda.
Yes.
Such a great program to kind of get the pets involved there. But come on, Frankie was a part of the show. The Birdman came out there. You get the wings flapping. You got that crowd dancing. People loving it. You're bringing them to their feet, rev it up during that mid card, get you rocking and rolling. Hey, rocking and rolling. That's what even Coco himself is his biggest contribution. In the album, the Pile Driver song, such a great hit. So meaningful for that time in professional wrestling. But I'm with you, baby. We get flapping. We buying on the bird, baby. Frankie all day on that one. Turn our attention to a bad man with two very different gimmicks. I'm interested to get your take on this one, Poz. Buy or sell, the big bad one-man gang or the African dream, Akeem?
Man, I love the one-man gang gimmick. Such a cool gimmick. Fit him. He's nasty. He's mean. He literally is a one-man gang. He's an ass-kicking machine. But I got to buy Akeem on this one. I love Akeem. I love the gimmick. I know there's obviously a little tongue-in-cheek there. It's a little bit of comedy involved, but I love this gimmick. It was so great. I love the Twin Towers, even though obviously at the time when I was a kid, I hated them because they're beating up on Hogan and Macho Man. But I love Akeem looking back. I love that him and Boss Man, a part of the Twin Towers, are such a big part of Survivor Series 88. And even Saturday night's main event when Hogan and Savage break up. I mean, they were a huge part. They're basically the bridge. If you want to look at that feud, like with Hogan and Savage, they're a huge part of the bridge that gets you to Hogan versus Savage. So they're the foundation of it because they were drawing so much money together, whether it's Savage versus Akeem, Hogan versus Bossman, and you switch the guys around, but then as a tag team together. So I got to go Akeem. Loved him. Loved the impact that him and Bossman had as the Twin Towers. Loved Slick as his manager. I love everything about Akeem and that gimmick, and just obviously so funny that's this guy's gimmick. What in the world were they thinking? But it worked.
Did you realize at the time because they acknowledge it?
No, at the time, I had no clue, no idea. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Because they did acknowledge it, but even back then, it took me a little bit. But reading some interviews, Gang was even saying that a lot of fans up until recently didn't realize there was a difference. They come up to the table and they see the 8x10s of Gang and Akeem, and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Oh, I thought you meant with Dusty. I was going to say I had no idea he was making fun of Dusty, but I knew because of that gimmick where they kill one man gang and he comes back out as Akeem. Because remember in the streets with Slick, that was awesome.
Yeah, could he go reinvent him? Yeah. So
yes. But I had no idea that it was to make fun of Dusty. I had no clue.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true because I was reading an interview with Gang, and he was talking about that, and he was saying, when they threw this at me, they didn't really give me a lot of direction. They just said, you're just going to be from Africa now. So a lot of the hand movements and all that, he was creating that on the go.
Ooh, okay.
And he was said at the time, he had heard later about, hey, this is a rib, but this is a shot at Dusty. He said in the time, he didn't really feel that way. About it. He was having fun with it. He said, if we were really poking fun at him, then why did we bring in Dusty a short time after that? Because they had both of them there for a little while.
Yeah. Interesting.
He might have been no selling it, but hey, I am going to agree with you on this one, man. I am completely buying Akeem, mainly because you know what? One man gang, great gimmick. He was good in that role, but come on, those big, bad, tough guys were a dime a dozen. And this was something that dared to stand out. It was different. It was an oddity inside of itself, and like you said, man, what such a great run and a great side device in the Mega Power story. That's a big ass wedge, him and Bossman to drive between the Mega Powers right there.
Yep. That was the best. Loved it.
Well, let's talk about some other big ass bad dogs and their leader. Poz, buy or sell in the tag division. Master Fuji with either kind of give it away there. Master Fuji with the Powers of Pain or Demolition, buy or sell, which way?
So I got to buy him with the Powers of Pain here, but with a caveat here. I just think that him originally with Demolition, I liked it. I thought it was good and it worked. But when they do the double turn of Survivor Series 88 and Fuji ends up with the Powers of Pain, I feel like that actually helped Powers of Pain more, and it helped Demolition more because they were getting so over as baby faces that they didn't need Fuji anymore. Like, they're better off without him. And if you look at that title run, 478 days with the tag titles, they held the titles longer without Fuji than with Fuji. So I got to go Fuji's better with the Powers of Pain. I feel like they needed him more promo wise. Bill Eadie and Barry Darso don't need any help with promos. I know Fuji's not a great speaker, but he is an orator. If
he
you
knew
will.
how to deliver it, and he had that
Yes,
aura.
yes,
There was that body language about him that you knew it was legit. It was something was going to go down. Someone's going to get hurt when you got Fuji as the mastermind and controlling some big bad dudes like that. So you spoke about here, as we can see, Survivor Series 88, big old massive Survivor Series tag match there with all them tag teams. I remember just being in awe of that. But this first time that I'd seen a double turn, blown away, being blown away. At that time, I didn't like Demolition because of Fuji. They were such over as heels. But yeah, this kind of, as you said, man, I'm going to buy Fuji with the Powers of Pain. It was a much needed turn for them. They kind of needed that leadership, the same guidance that he provided for Demolition early on. But as you said, it just catapulted Demolition to new heights. Becoming one of my all-time favorite tag teams. And as you said, the great run that they had and really finding their own identity, be able to speak for themselves and really stand out and create and carve that legacy that we would come to remember with Demolition. So I'll buy it on a Fuji with the Powers of Pain. And what a great manager, as we said. Doesn't have to be spoken. It was just that body language, but he spoke volumes. That's why he carried that big stick, man.
He was hated, absolutely hated.
Yeah, that absolutely was. And one of the big things that we saw come about in the rock and wrestling era was the gift of gab, who could work that microphone. And as we said, you had to have people speak for you. And one of the best avenues to do that there in the rock and wrestling era was talk show segments. We had some great ones back then. Two of the best that were around that time there, Poz. Buy or sell, Piper's Pit versus the Brother Love Show.
Got to be honest, this one is actually harder than you would think. You would automatically just think, oh, probably Piper's Pit. But if you really look at it, the Brother Love Show always had like good turning points for storylines kind of involved with that show, whether it's like a Bad News Brown beating up Jack Tunney thing or like Earthquake and Hogan, or, so many different Sapphire and Sherry. And like, there's always different stuff going on with the Brother Love Show. I feel like it was used more as like a device for pushing forward the story and really kind of pushing along. Sometimes I feel like Piper's Pit was almost just to get Piper over. Almost, he's going to make fun of the guy the whole time, like kind of get himself over. I know obviously you're using it as a storyline device too, but I feel like sometimes the Brother Love Show was always kind of pushing and getting a storyline and pushing it forward, whether whatever that storyline may be, whether even it's Jake and the model, like it just felt like it was pushing more things. But I will buy Piper's Pit just because it's Piper's Pit. It's kind of like really the first of its kind, really the first one to hammer it home, the first one to really be successful at it. And obviously now they still copy it. Miz does one, Kevin Owens does one. I mean, still to this day, they're still doing basically a ripoff of Piper's Pit. So I'll buy Piper's Pit. I think that was great. And if you look at it, before WrestleMania 3, that Piper's Pit was basically used as the storyline device between Hogan and Andre, and obviously it drew 93,000 people, and it was a huge thing. But the Piper's Pit, that was such a huge part of that whole thing, and that whole building of it was basically around Piper's Pit. So I'll go Piper's Pit. I think Piper's Pit was the best and the original, really, if you think about it.
I think you said it well, putting over Piper's Pit, but I am going to buy the Brother Love Show. As you said, I think Piper's Pit was that predecessor that set the stage. So we want to kind of go in this direction. He said so pivotal, so vital in the success of WrestleMania 3. But to me, what took it to that next level was the Brother Love Show. And, where Piper was still remembered as that wrestler, he's sitting there, he's making that transition. But, Brother Love came on strictly as that talk show segment, that interviewer that went from behind the scenes or a plain stage to his own set and really drove programs forward. I absolutely love the character. No pun intended there. Loved how Bruce got into that thing. No pun intended again. But yes, with all the love in the world, pun intended there, I am buying on the Brother Love show. But I do want to bring this up. A great moment, WrestleMania moment, as we said, the first passing the torch on there. Remember when worlds collided? And we had
Yes.
the Brother Love show and the Piper's Pit come together with the loud mouth of the time. What was the
Yeah,
name?
WrestleMania 5, yeah. Morton
Morton
Downey
Downey
Jr.
Jr.
Yeah.
Morton Downey
Yep.
Jr. And unfortunately, there for Morton Downey Jr. and Brother Love, their flames were extinguished that night with the fire extinguisher there from Mr. Piper.
Love that. I love the crossing of the streams, if you will, there between Piper and Brother Love, and kind of getting the worlds colliding and getting them both on that same
Kind of a passing
show.
of the torch.
Yeah, the passing of the torch. If you, I love that. When you look at it, though, Brother Love, maybe, and you might think I'm crazy on this, but I feel maybe he should have wrestled more. I know he's not really necessarily a wrestler, but I feel like he could have been used more
Some
in
payoffs for
ring.
some big bumps or something.
Yep, exactly. To do some stuff like that. I know he took some bumps and things, but I feel like they could have used him more, not even just as a manager, but I feel like just in the ring a little bit more. You know, Heenan came in and did some bumps and some spots and stuff. And
I like that though. I like that he didn't kind of cross those boundaries where he was into that manager role. You know, he more strictly stuck with his spot in the talk show. I think that's what made it so special, because it was that's how it defined him.
All right, I got you.
Now, as kids falling in love with professional wrestling, especially during that rock and wrestling era, what's such a tremendous era to fall in love with. It was all about that dream of bringing it to life, getting to get involved in your very own home Poz. There were two big ways to do that back then. I'm talking about, I'm going to ask you, man, buy or sell here on the, I keep messing that up there, but the VCR WrestleMania game versus the NES WrestleMania game here, brother.
This is a tough one because I had both, and I actually, which is crazy. We were just talking about this before. You still have the NES game. I still have the VCR. I still have the tape and the game that's associated with it. So pretty crazy. Yes, there it is. So pretty crazy that we both still have a piece of these, these puzzles out there that are kind of rare. And I would think a lot of people don't have this stuff anymore, just because of the way it goes. But man, brings back such great memories, such great nostalgia. And I love that damn NES game. It was so good. And for the time, you think it's great graphics. And oh my God, there's a picture of the guy. Kind of looks like Honky Tonk Man. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like this is great. This is the best. It's never going to get better than this. And then all of a sudden, obviously now it actually looks like the guy, looks like Undertaker wrestling and stuff like that. But I liked it better back then. But I'm going to buy, this is going to be crazy, I'm going to buy the VCR game because I loved it. And I would kind of cheat a little bit on it because I would actually just really watch the tape and not really play the game or follow along with the game. The game could have been a little difficult at times, could have maybe a little bit hard to follow at times, but I actually would kind of cheat and just watch the tape and just go through the tape without really necessarily playing the game. So I'm going to buy on the VCR, if you will.
So Poz is studying the tape. So when he invites his friends over for a sleepover, he already knows what moves are coming, what player, the red or the blue to be, how to work the cards. Yeah, because looking at this thing, I had to do a little research. Remembered, I had this game. I remember this game. The one thing that bothered me about it, though, is you always had to have somebody there with you to play. So you either had to find a friend or coax one of your parents into playing with you. And you got different decks. Like you got your interview cards, your referee cards, your offense, your counter move cards. You go around the board. You incorporate the videotape, which essentially is just segments of pro wrestling matches, showing an exchange between Brutus Beefcake and Honky Tonk Man. And then it pauses and tells you red player gets +7, blue player -3 or something like that. And you figure that out on the board. So that was the one thing to me. And I'm with you. I spent a lot of time just watching the video myself because sometimes it was harder to find somebody to play the game with you, to sit down and play the board game with you. In the case of the NES game, always great to have a two-player, to get in there and smash those buttons and beat each other up, but you could play it as yourself. I think what you really did hit on the nail on the head there, Poz, is especially when the video game came out and all these awesome things with the NES. And it's like, oh my God, we can beat these WWE superstars. We could bring them to life right here on our Nintendo Entertainment System. But God, when you look back, that game was so bad. And I'm not trying to compare it to the games to today, man. It's just like the
Yeah.
weird angle, the botchy moves. I think there
Yeah.
was only like 4 moves in the game. You had those weird power-ups. Remember, like Andre, like a big ham would come across the screen and you had to try to get up there and grab it to power up a little bit. I told you I still have this game. So at my original NES, it still works. I play this from time to time. And at 46 years old, so I've been playing this thing probably since I was like 6 or 7 years old. I still have no idea what I'm doing with the moveset and how to pin anybody in this thing. You just try to get over close enough to them, smash every button, and hope that you flop down and get a pin on them.
Just got to get lucky out there. Yes.
Again, but 2 classic at home, bringing the action of the WWF to life, man. Absolutely loved both of them. All right, Poz. Number 9 here. Here we go. I think this is a big one, and this is where the game changed in the wrestling world. Buy or sell sports entertainment versus pro wrestling.
So this is interesting to me because different parts of my fandom, different parts of my life, I could go in one direction or the other very, very easily, very simply. But when I was younger, it was sports entertainment for sure. Then you get a little older, you kind of go to pro wrestling, and then get even a little older. It's definitely all pro wrestling. But it's funny. I'm going back to the beginning here. I'm going back to the future, if you will. I'm going back to the Hogan era. I'm more of a sports entertainment guy right now. I just want to be entertained. I sometimes I care about the match and I like the matches. I want to really observe the matches and stuff, and like that's a part of it. But I don't know. I just want to be entertained. Like my buddy goes, "Oh, Jey Uso's not hitting the moves right. He can't do this right." It's like, who the hell gives a shit? Neither did The Rock. I was like, he's over. Like, who cares? Like I don't know, I'm right now, right this second, right this very minute, I'm going to go with sports entertainment.
I am going to agree, but I am going to say that back in the rock and wrestling era, through the new generation, through the attitude era, through ruthless aggression, PG, whatever you want to call it, to whatever we're sitting in today, as long as I have breathed, lived, loved professional wrestling, it's still about sports entertainment. Pro wrestling is a sub category of sports entertainment. It is about the spectacle, the showmanship, the characters, the crossover appeal, the celebrities, the music, the hype. It is the spectacle that draws people in, and that is sports entertainment. You know, it is the evolution that was needed of professional wrestling to get the genre over. So every day, all day, forever, then, now, forever, I am buying sports entertainment, my friend.
Nice. All right, I'm kind of with you there. I'm kind of agreeing for sure. I love me some pro wrestling, but right now it's got to be sports entertainment, and definitely as a kid, it was definitely all about the sports entertainment, if you will.
Well, we're going to throw this one out there to those that are watching with us. Hey, we're growing each and every week, man. We love it. All of these topics. There's other things that you want to throw out there, buy or sell from rock and wrestling. You got any other categories you want us to run down for a buy or sell special? Let us know in the comments. Again, we are continuing to grow. We appreciate you guys up there. Please copy the show link, share it to your socials, help us spread the word, man. We love this concept. It seems like those that have been joining us absolutely love this show concept, and we just want to keep spreading the word out there. But for this week's episode, Poz, you know what that brings us to? It is the time for the pop of the week. Say, I went round and round. I found a number of these that I thought were very fitting for the rock and wrestling buy or sell special. But I think this one really hits the era and really hits how guys our age feel this time of the week as we're sitting down recording on a Thursday evening. I know you're going to love this one, buddy. This episode's pop of the week about Mean Gene.
Yes.
And the Hawkster. Hey,
nice.
This is, hey, when you realize it's almost the weekend. It is almost the weekend. So for John Poz, I am RBV, Richard Bronson Vickery. Again, give us a like, give us a share. We love you. We appreciate you. This has been the 10 Count.